huge Eagles fan, and I had to listen to his yap all the time about the Eagles. So obviously I was watching them a bit more than I would have liked. But they have a really good team. They have good players, good coaching, and the Giants are in turmoil right now. I mean, Odell Beckham isn't doing much. Right. Eli Manning looks like he's from Derville again. I mean, the offensive line's terrible. They've had a problem with their linebackers since LT's been gone. It's bad news. These guys, the Giants, really need to figure something out. We all thought it would be the Jets that were going to be pitiful this year. But the Giants, nobody expected them to look this bad.
It's pretty rough. New England and Houston. I like New England in this matchup only because they lost their opener, which has pissed them off and turned them back into the New England Patriots. And I believe they're getting Amendola back for this week. So he's got an additional weapon out on the field.
And here's another big factor, something that we all need to keep in mind. You have Bill O'Brien coming in to play against a Bill Belichick team. Yep. Bill O'Brien's a disciple of Bill Belichick's. Bill Belichick smashes all of his disciples. He's like Nick Saban in that regard. You just don't beat this guy if you've coached for him.
So how many points do I have to give up to take a New England bloodletting?
You're hanging 13 in the hook here, so it's 13.5 points. Yeah, it's a lot of points. Like one thing I try to.
But Houston can't score. I mean, they got Tom Savage, for God's sakes. I don't even know what they have at quarterback.
Exactly. I mean, when you're cutting quarterbacks to get to Tom Savage as your guy, I mean, you got Deshaun Watson there, from Clemson, but this is a kid. You can't expect him to put it all on his back and come in here and play the Patriots and be able to read, this Bill Belichick scheme. It's going to be a tough go for Houston. And I don't like to bet teams in the NFL that are double-digit favorites. But when it comes to the Patriots, Bill Belichick isn't the kind of guy that lets off the gas, one. And two, there's no way that Deshaun Watson's going to be able to figure anything out with this scheme. I like the Patriots to cover the spread on a straight half-point parlay, and I like them obviously on the tees as well.
There you go. Simple as that. Moving on and moving past a couple of snooze fests, I will, of course, ask because I think this is one of the best matchups of the weekend, and it will certainly – anything in the AFC West, for anybody wondering, I think the AFC West is the division this year. Clearly, all the teams have demonstrated that they're going to go for it. Kansas City taking on the Chargers in LA, second game at home, coming off of two brutal losses, taking on a red-hot Kansas City team. Do I want to believe in Alex Smith just yet?
This is the game I was waiting for you to get to. This is the game I have circled on my calendar. This is the game I like the most. This is the game I'll be betting, and here's a few reasons why. You have the Chiefs and the Chargers who really, they have battled throughout history. They have two teams battled throughout history, but now you have this season comes along. In the last 6 games, it's been rough for the Chargers against the Chiefs here. The Chiefs are just, man, the Chargers, they contain visiting offenses every now and then, holding opponents to fewer than 20 points in 6 of 11 home dates, but I just don't see it happening this game. I think that the Chiefs are the ultimate road warriors this year. I mean, Kansas City is 8-0 straight up and against the spread in its past 8 road games as chalk. So this is the kind of game where I look at it and everything, all the stars align. This is a game where the Chiefs should win.
But I felt like there was a solid but in there from you.
No, I don't think so. I think that the Chiefs win this game. They cover. I think that the Chargers are a good squad, but they're not good enough to get it together yet. They truly don't have those difference makers that they're going to need to keep up with the Chiefs. And I think the Chiefs are rolling. And like you said about Alex Smith, I'm definitely believing in Alex Smith right now.
There you go. Let's talk about the Sunday night make-it-up game. I think this is a trap game, and I think Oakland needs to be serious about this. Oakland taking on Washington. I'm starting to believe in Washington. I really am starting to believe in Washington.
Washington is a good team. Cousins is a very underrated quarterback. There's a reason that they use the franchise tag on this guy, and they're paying him top 5 quarterback money. This man knows how to dissect the defense. He knows how to throw the ball, and they have other weapons around him. They finally have some weapons around him, and I agree. This is a tough game for Oakland, traveling across the country, going into a hostile environment. This is going to be a real test. Oakland coming off that big win against the Jets. I don't think Beast Mode's going to be doing any dancing on the sidelines this week.
There you go. And on Monday night, Dallas takes on Arizona. 2 Screwball teams. I don't know what to make yet of Dallas. They don't seem to be able to get the ball out into play. I'm not buying Dak Prescott for some reason. Arizona, same exact story. I don't know what's going on in Arizona. They seem to be a hot, sweaty mess. They can't get the ball to Fitzgerald. They're all over the place as well. So I wouldn't even know where to begin on the betting for this. I will say this. I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair. I'd certainly try to look at the over-under on that game.
Yeah, the over-under right now is sitting at 47. It's been pretty steady. It opened at 47.5. Right now, like I said, sitting currently at the 47 number. It might be a good game to take a look there, but I really like Dallas in this game at the -3. I think that their run game is going to dominate in this one, and I think that Prescott and Des Bryant will hook up enough to get things going correctly. I think this is a nice spot for Dallas. I think they win this game, and I think it's by at least a touchdown or more.
Which takes us to hockey, but we're not quite there in the season yet, but we will talk about your Las Vegas Golden Knights because I don't think anybody's talking about them yet. Tell me what you're seeing out of your Golden Knights.
The kids, I've really been high. I was really high when we drafted Glass. I was really, really pumped about that. He's going to be really good. They have a lot of defensemen still right now that they're going to need to trade off. I mean, we have 11 defensemen, and we can only go into the season with 8, and these aren't the kind of guys that are going to get sent down to the AHL. So George McPhee has a couple of pieces here in play that he can, move around a little bit. But with the team, the way they're playing right now in the preseason, it's very promising. I mean, you have a lot of guys that have something to prove. These guys are coming from other squads, and these guys were put on a list by the other team saying, well, we don't want these guys, you take them. And when you're talking about a guy like James Neal, who is a legit 30-goal scorer, and you have other guys on this team that they've found success before in the NHL. I mean, Marc-Andre Fleury, the goalie with the Penguins, the guy's won Stanley Cups. So, you have guys with a lot of pride, and I think that this is going to end up being a surprising year for a lot of fans. I don't think that the Golden Knights are going to contend for the playoffs, obviously, but I think that they're going to get their fair share of wins, and it'll be pretty fun to watch them play night in and night out.
There you go. What should we look for in the preseason, or are we looking at who is the team to look at in the NHL this year? Who should we keep an eye on?
Well, obviously, this is painful for me to say because, the only people I hate more than the Pittsburgh Penguins is ISIS. So it's really hard for me to admit this, but the Penguins, once again, are the team to beat. Anytime you have Sidney Crosby and you have Evgeny Malkin and Phil Kessel and, the laundry list of the who's who, and then you have Sully there as the bench boss, Sullivan's a great coach. He knows what he has. He knows what he's working with. They play a very fast game. It's hard for teams to keep pace with that. So right now it's definitely Pittsburgh in the East, and in the West, I'm going to have to go with Nashville. I think Nashville is returning another great team. They're icing another great team. They're going to have, all the same tools they had last year. Their goalie's a little bit older. Renee's a little older this year, so that might be a little but I think that it'll between them and the Blackhawks, that'll be the West Coast battling out, and in the East Coast it's going to be the Penguins, and I think that they'll be pushed once again by the Capitals. And, the dark horse, I think, in the East for me this year is Columbus once again. They have a lot of good young players, so I think that they'll be pushing as well. With my Rangers, it's up in the air right now. I'm not too sure where they're going to end up when all's said and done, but I do know that they will end up in the playoffs. And when you have one of the best goaltenders of all time in hockey, that always gives you a legit chance to win a Stanley Cup. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting, that's for sure.
Give me Bobby the Bookie's lock of the week. Where am I dropping all my money to make sure I double down and go home with some cash this weekend from Vegas?
I like Kansas City on Sunday against the Chargers, Lee.
Yeah, I was afraid you were going to say that. I really was.
After
I want you to be wrong, and really,
sorry.
Might even be my first game of the year that I actually go to at the StubHub Center. Do you have the boxing odds in front of you? Is there any boxing up on the board this weekend? Are they betting on Parker or Fury at all?
I don't have hold on, let me take a look real quick. I could pull it up.
I know that we have, just for the carryover Fight Net Radio fans going, what about boxing odds? Trust me, we'll talk about all the fights as they went down, but you may want to bet on them. I know Parker is taking on Fury for the WBO Heavyweight Championship, and in Inglewood, Linares is taking on Campbell for the WBA title. So there are a couple.
I have a number for that. I have Campbell at plus 275 and Linares is minus 365. There's not a number for the Fury fight though.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Yeah, it'd be like plus or minus 3,000. It'd be like a Klitschko fight. It's basically a walkover. Yeah. I'm interested. I don't see how Linares loses that fight. That seems to be no bet. No bet, kids. There's no bet in boxing. Safe to say. Did we miss anything?
No, I mean, the only thing that we did miss, since we're on the topic of boxing, is Jake LaMotta passed away.
It is.
Guy from the neighborhood. My family knew him well. It's always crazy to think back on these old fighters and how, they dip into obscurity, MMA, boxing. They bring great joy to people by putting it all on the line in the cage or the ring. And then once they're not performing anymore, they're just like an afterthought in most people's mind. So it's pretty cool to see that all the love that he's getting today. And when guys like that pass away, it is definitely a loss to the community, the boxing community as a whole.
I know I had commented on social media that I didn't even know that he was alive. I'm just happy that he was alive that long and apparently had quite a full life based on your post. I mean, I really thought he had left us a while ago. I'm glad the guy lived. That's a good, and I said this online, we need to know about the ones that are alive more. We only hear about the ones that drop dead or, boxing's such a brutal sport.
It's the same with a lot of sports in general, though, too. I mean, you look at, like, football players that played in, like, the 70s, 80s, and even 90s, even guys that were great on championship teams. You walk by, they're sitting in the mall signing pictures. You know what I mean? It's pretty sad, dude.
Yeah, I've been to the boxing legend thing out at the convention center, and these guys do not look healthy in any way, shape, or form.
Yep, it's pretty rough. I mean, especially back then, they weren't making nowhere near the money they're making now. So, it's pretty sad to see some of the guys that laid the groundwork to be forgotten.
Check out Bobby Capucci online at Bobby Capucci. The bookmaker will be back each and every week. We'll do it midweek. We'll get you some betting. We'll get you some odds. If there's something you want to know, go hit him up. Somebody hit you up last week. You gave a tip on the last show.
The Jets-Raiders game. We had a listener all the way from Australia put his first wager in ever on an NFL football game, and just so happened to walk away with a few shekels in his pocket.
Yeah, that was a no-brainer as well.
I'll tell you what, man, that was a softball from the softball of all softballs. But like anything else in the NFL, they got to play the games, and it's a quirky sport. You never know.
You never know. That's why they play the games. So they say.
Right, that's right.
Tune in each and every week. We'll bring back Bobby every single week. I'm going to get him to try to change out his handle to Bobby the Bookmaker in honor of Bobby the Brain, who passed away this past week as well.
Yeah.
Now we have Bobby the Book.
Brain.
We'll dress you up in little sparkly suits and the whole bit. All you have to do is point to your brain.
As long as I can wear some pink slippers with it.
Check out all our episodes. If you want to stay up to date, all you got to do is type in Fight Net Radio into your browser or your cell phones. Doesn't matter. It'll take you to the iHeartRadio app. Here's why I push the iHeartRadio app. You will get an email notification when new episodes are posted. How cool is that? That's even better than iTunes, which we have, or Spotify, or SoundCloud, or Stitcher. We have all those as well. God bless you. All you have to do is type in Fight Net Radio, and you'll find the show for whatever you want to listen to it on. But I'm just telling you, iHeartRadio's in the car on everybody. Make it simple on yourself, and that way you'll get a couple of episodes each and every week. Do the boxing shows on Sunday. We'll bring Bobby back next Wednesday. Again, follow Bobby at Bobby Capucci on Facebook. I didn't see. Do you have Twitter?
I don't have Twitter. That place is just a cesspool. I can't get mirrored down and all that nonsense that goes on Twitter.
It's pretty rough. Take it from a guy who has outstanding videos that just people still have to remind me about my past, and I don't know why that's so important to them. You would think if you do something stupid, people would get over it.
Yeah, right. Not in this country. I mean, everybody lives the model life, of course. Everybody has the scope on everybody else, and nobody's looking in the mirror.
Troll. Tune in each week. Learn how to bet correctly. Go to Vegas. And if you are going to Vegas, LasVegasDiscount.net. Save 50% on your next trip. There's nothing really big coming up in Vegas. We're kind of in a quiet spot. It's football season.
That's exactly it. Every Sunday is big in Vegas. Every Sunday is the Super Bowl.
There you guys go. We will be back next week with more Bobby for all of you. Thank you for